What's up, it's your boy NicholassRivas. I talk about stuff, and today we're playing Doom for the month of October. I'm posting a video every single day playing spooky games, so let's get to it. So I just got done watching the new Smile movie. It was pretty good. I'm not the die-hard Smile 1 fan. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. It was a cool movie. I was pushed off from it because I thought that it's gonna be that, I don't know, it's gonna be that genre of movies where there's the premise, and they try to make the movie. They thought about the premise, but they didn't really think about the movie. You ever see movies like Truth or Dare or Wish Upon? They're scary movies with you can tell that they did an elevator pitch. There's a game called Truth or Dare. What happens if we made Truth or Dare scary, and it's a spooky game that infects you, and you see creepy smiles, and legitimately, it was the Truth or Dare movie that made me go it's just Smile. They're the same movie. You got a creepy smile from God knows what stupid game they're probably gonna play, but then Smile 1 was pretty fantastic. I think I mean, I definitely had very low expectations, but people enjoyed it, and I personally thought it was pretty good, and I really respect the way it went. This one, I see why people are praising it. I see why people say it's up there, because I think it is a better movie, but I think Smile 1 really caught me off guard, and this one was just fun, and it did its job, but it's definitely not the top movie out there. Maybe I'd put it the same in Long Legs, where thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's not my top scary movie of the year. I think that's probably the best thing to say, because I think Late Night with the Devil, I keep going back to that movie. I was really excited for Cuckoo, and I think that movie's a better movie. I don't know, but I am conflicted. Sometimes I do think about Long Legs, and I think that it's kind of a better movie in some regards. I think Smile's up there. As for the better of the movies this year, because you had dummy stupid movies like Afraid, AI Afraid, or whatever the hell you say, and then you had movies Terrifier 3, where I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't know if it's the best movie that came out, but I think I'm gonna go back to it and enjoy it more than any other movie that I've seen so far. So you know what? Actually, I think the crown so far is Terrifier 3. When I think about it, as of the movies that I really enjoy and respect. And then for Smile, I think it's gonna be a nice movie to have in the bag. It's gonna be a nice movie to go back to, and I think it's a really respectable movie. And the main actress, Naomi Scott, phenomenal. Just someone who deserves all the flowers. She really put in so much in that role. Just the stuff she had to put herself through, she just oozing mucus and crying every scene, and just spilling her guts, and the woman really took care of this role. I don't think anyone could have done it better. I think she really should gain the respect of many of a horror fan. So yeah, I mean, kudos to her. She is phenomenal for what she has done. And I mean, the directing was great. There was, you're watching a movie like a Truth or Dare, right? And in Truth or Dare, there's a really shot for shot, you would see in a CW, here's your over the shoulder shot where two people are talking, here's your back and forth dialogue, and then here's your stupid funny Marvel-esque quick little snippet of humor to break up some of these scenes. I don't know, purposefully, or maybe it is purposely. But then you have movies like Truth or Dare, where I think, Truth or Dare, when you have movies like Smile, where the directing is phenomenal, little shots. It's the little things. There's a shot where she turns around her chair, and I'm that is such a cool shot. It wasn't innovative. It wasn't the most impressive shot ever, but it was not necessary, yet it added so much to think how you're feeling as a spectator, and how you're feeling as her, because everything we see is through her mind. And I think they played that perfectly. I think you saw a very delusional and disorienting perspective, and that's exactly what it was. And I think a lot of horror movies fail to capture that. When you go into a movie like a Truth or Dare, obviously I'm picking on this shitty movie, but when you go in a movie like that, I think it's trying to, if they were to ask the director, or what are you trying to get out of this? Oh, that anxiety. You're the main character. What's the anxiety you get as a main character? This movie, I don't think is saying that. I think it's doing that. It's showing you the anxiety that comes with this demon curse thingy. I think it's such a genius premise. I love that. It sounds stupid at first. I think when you think of it as the context of these other movies like Truth or Dare, you're like, oh gosh, another Truth or Dare. But in reality, I think the premise, the more I sit on it, is it's a pretty smart allegory for your depression and the this thing that you pass on to others, this trauma, right? And obviously, like, it's not groundbreaking commentary that like depression is something that can be passed down, or the effects of grief, on a full scale, and how it affects others. We've seen that in movies like Hereditary, or Midsummer. Like, you definitely see nowadays more and more where people talk about your anxiety, your depressions, and how do you put that into like a figure, a beast of sorts. And I think the monster that they have for Smile 2 is phenomenal. Just that, I think it's just so funny and just mean spirited that it is this smile that any other situation it would be taken as loving and respectable, but of course it's this vile thing that it's mocking you, this, and I think that's what grief can do, or what many people feel grief is like. It's kind of like just it's kicking you while you're already down, and that's what depression and grief and your brain, any sort of mental health issues does to a person, where I don't think people are looking at her and sympathizing. They're just like, well, what a crazy ass lady going insane on a stage and knocking over an old person and da 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 da. Like, that is the point of the obviously, again, I'm not making any groundbreaking coverage here. That's just obviously what I think is portraying. But I think also too that it's something that I really love that we can even talk about in the movie space, because I mean, not too long ago, I think us 2010s and on horror heads don't realize that there was a good portion where, and still is, but of movies that are just the schlocks. Hey, we're gonna have a snake on a plane, we're gonna have a House of Wax, and maybe there's some deeper commentary if you truly look for it. But I don't think the director of those movies was trying to find. I think they were having fun with schlock. Again, fine, cool, but it's cool to see the elevated horror still continue. And I know some people don't like that term because they're like, all horror can be elevated if you let it, or if you really see it. And I think in this case you see a movie that really, I think, did a good job at portraying what many have failed to do. I think you can say easily, like, obviously grief is bad. Well, how do you portray that? Like, how do you make grief a villain? How do you make grief a physical, tangible being that's destroying this person's life? Like, make it interesting. And they did. That premise, maybe not the most exciting, but it definitely is the most fun. I mean, the way they did it, I could see a lesser director kind of just ruin this. Kind of creepy smile, look down. But I heard, like, from different interviews that the director was really particular about, like, how they did the smile, and like that is such a cool detail. I don't think it added much maybe to like the regular viewers, but it definitely added a lot to me, where I can tell, like, this wasn't just like a random silly face that they did. It's something that I think was malicious and purposeful. And just, there's little like these vignettes in each scene where you're wondering, okay, when's the jump scare coming? But also how innovative it can be. There's the scene with the dancers and they're chasing her down, and that's really fucking cool. Like, the whole like scene wasn't, I don't think, the scariest thing in my life, but it was really fun. When it's not being super scary, it's fun. And I think that's how you got to do it. Like, if you're not hitting the jump scare quota, I think having this character deal with a really fucked up situation goes a long way, and I think she did. I think when you saw the character and what they were dealing with, it made it hard to watch a lot of times. And I'm sure that's the point. And I'm really bad with movies when it comes to shows, when someone's like cringing, like a cringy scene, because there's scenes where she's like screaming her heart out, and then you find out that like everyone's just watching this lady like lose her mind in real life. I love that. I mean, it makes me uncomfortable. It's really fun. I mean, there's like this different mindset when like you're watching like a Jason, like there's no cringe there. You're just like, oh goodness, they're just getting stabbed and beat up, and oh look how cool it is. This was a movie where you're thinking as a yourself, like you're watching this spiral, you're watching this poor woman just like devolve into this borderline lunatic. And that's fun. I mean, it's not a fun thing. Like, I'm not enjoying it, but like, I think it gives you that sense of cringe that like horror movies typically do. They make you feel, they make you feel feeling like it's like a roller coaster. You shouldn't be feeling the sensation of dropping down from 50 feet. But when you go to a roller coaster, it simulates that because obviously it's happening, but also it's in a safe environment. I think when you're watching a horror film, you get that. You get this, like, this is my chance to cringe purposefully. This is my chance to jump in my seat purposefully in a safe, curated environment. That feel that dread, that grief, watching someone spiral. I loved it. I think Terrifier 3 was amazing for its gore and funness, and then I think you have movies like Smile where it's fun for its, you know, feelings that it gives you. It's grief that it makes you, you know, witness, and spirals that it makes you witness. It kind of forces you. It's like watching a car crash. Horror is such a fun genre. I think that like you can really portray, and I think with any genre, if you have a story that's right. But I really enjoy horror because it makes me feel that sense of like, oh, I never really thought about it that way. Because even during the movie, when she's fighting her, you know, spoiler alert, she's fighting herself in a frozen room, which is funny. The juxtaposition of that between the first movie where she was in like a burning house. I always took the burning house as like her trauma. You know, I think it's the house she grew up in, right? That she's standing in, and it's burning down. It's her memories, it's her fondness, it's her happiness, her innocence being burnt. And then you have something like Terrifier 2, where this woman, or Terrifier, Smile 2, where this woman is, she's, you know, she definitely has trauma since the accident, but she's also a very cold person, and that's how I took it. I kept getting cold, and I was thinking cold, and I think she was cold in a very bad way. She's not a good person. I think her being cold was a representation of how evil she could also be, because she caused that accident with her boyfriend. Even though, granted, they were both being fucking stupid and reckless, she has that trauma looming over her because she did something vile. She beat this guy and caused an accident. Again, accident was gonna happen either way. It's like unplugging the life support on someone who is gonna die in a day. Like, obviously that's still bad, but you understand it as, oh, like the character was gonna, like, they're not good, like that whole situation was awful. You still look at her and go, well, she's not a good person, like she is vile. And you know, seeing her kill her mom in the vision was very much, I think, real as it gets. Like, even though it didn't really happen, I think she could be that evil. She could be that malicious. And she's not necessarily a good person. I mean, especially to leave that guy. Who gives a fuck about your career? Like, she's getting mad at her mom about, like, my career, like, you only care about that, like, but you as well, you too. It reminds me a lot of like The Substance, which is another great movie that came out this year, where they have to keep reminding her, like, that is you are her, you are one of the same. And just because you are mad at yourself, don't pretend like it's a different person, which is tremendous. Like, exactly the point that should be made here is her mother was a representation of herself when she's in that little hospice, and her mom, again, who is not a good person. It's okay to admit that the mom is a bad person, does not deserve to die, but is a bad person. But the way she treats her daughter and the way she is so evil to her, you can see, like, oh, that's not a good person, doesn't deserve to die. And I think if continued, if that, you know, I think that mom character was going to die if that girl was with, if the daughter, if the main character, the singer, if she continued on her path, I think she would have harmed more people. And I don't think the smile monster kills other people. I think it lets you suffer. Like, I think everything is completely, you will never see like the smile monster thingy kill anybody. Like, I think that's kind of one of its rules so far, from what I gathered. I could be wrong. It lets you kill yourself or do something stupid to kill yourself, if I'm not wrong. I'm trying to think. There's no movie where like the person possessed attacks anybody. I think it enjoys and feeds off of that like premise that you are harming yourself and you're fearful, and like you can't get that by stabbing another person. From what I'm gathering, is how the parasite thinks. But I imagine that like the girl to leave the guy when he killed himself and she was worried about her career. She's not a good person. When she had those visions of her mother being killed, I don't think that was out of nowhere. I think that's how she felt, and she didn't deserve any of this per se, but like she was also bringing it upon herself on how she handled her grief, how she also just handled her relationships, like with that boy that she was with in the beginning, and the reason she had that accident. It was her, but it was also like her enabling him, and drugs are a disease, but she was not a good person even sober. So that's where I think like it is sort of a moot point if you try to defend her. Like she wasn't good when she was sober. Yeah, she was dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of like sorrow, but she was also partaking in unfortunate things before that even happened. Like you can't use that as a sort of excuse. Like she is evil, she is mean. I don't know how real that vision was with her best friend. Obviously the best friend didn't exist, but like if her best friend came back and she was freaking out, would she just demand her and bark at her? I don't know. Also, I love that like idea of like, I was pretty confident the best friend was there, you know, up until the whole you know, like she sees the friend and she's like, oh shit, like you're not really here. But ultimately, great time, great vibes, loved it. I'm going to give it a good old 6, 7 out of 10. It was fun time. I loved it. Give me more. Give me. Yeah, I recommend it wholeheartedly, and I think everyone should go watch it and enjoy for the spooky season. If it's not your vibes, and it's not your vibes, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it's a good one. Okay, I think I'll end it here. Thank you all so much, and peace, love you.